right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the More Than Love podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran.
And I'm your co-host, Jay Bravo.
What's going on? Welcome back, man. We've been away for a couple of weeks. Been off the waves due to some technical difficulties. But we back in the building to chop it up and discuss relationships, perspective, whatnot. We got a real interesting guest. We'll be chopping up with a guy by the name of Mr. Freeport a little bit later, where he'll be giving us his perspective on the MGTOW community and the stance that a lot of guys are taking in regards to women dating and equal rights, etc. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But we like to start off the podcast with a segment that we call Terry's Top 3, where we basically highlight 3 of the most interesting or controversial posts on my Instagram page at Terry Duran. So we got a couple of interesting posts that we're going to be discussing this week. And so the first post that we were going to be looking at is a post that I put up of, it was a clip from divorce court where Judge Lynn Tolliver was giving some very harsh criticism to one of the guests. Let's take a look.
You cannot control anything until you control your fertility. You saw he was trifling and no count. You saw he was no job having somebody. You know how many video games he played, but you had stars in your eyes and you had a dream and you want to get married, then you got knocked up and then boom, 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 I'm going to get married and it doesn't make a man out of him. Don't help them at all. They install you in their house as the best appliance they got. A money-making, sex-having, baby-taken care of, buying me Game Boy, getting me studio time person, and you getting nothing in the bargain.
Now, she went in, you know what I'm saying? Like, she went in. She didn't candy coat. She didn't hold back not one bit. And she kept it professional. You know what I mean? She didn't cuss or nothing out the ordinary. And I agree with everything that she said. Because oftentimes you find me talking about women fail in the dating phase, where they commit to a relationship with somebody that they're not compatible with. Somebody that has not demonstrated responsibility, has not shown a lack of respect, has not shown ambition. So it's hard for me to feel sympathy for a lot of women that put themselves in these predicaments with these bums and these deadbeats. And so what I found interesting at least from my individual perspective is I didn't see any women complaining about her delivery. You know,
right.
on my page, I'm often criticized.
I was just going to get to that too. Yeah, you put this stuff out and you say more or less the same stuff, and you tend to get some backlash. Someone will spew some vitriol at you, but when she said it, pretty much what you would say, she didn't necessarily get that type of backlash.
No, it was all love.
Women co-signed it at that.
It was all love. Now, part of that is because she's on TV. You know, she's a celebrity, etc. So
right.
People tend to have a favorable reaction to somebody that they recognize or they respect or whatnot.
Right, and these are the type of this is the prototypical fuckboy that we talk about, and we've talked about on plenty of shows in the past year.
Right, it's the type of guy that a woman should be able to identify and avoid if she pays attention to what I'm talking about and learns how quality men think and operate.
Right.
If you learn how the men that you want to be with think and operate, you'll be able to quickly identify when you're dealing with somebody that don't think and operate that way. You know what I mean? Like, and so the women that are like kind of resistant to it and take it as bashing and all this type of stuff, was like, well, damn, what do you want? Like, the fuckboys, I even tell women how fuckboys operate, why they operate the way that they do.
I think when women get guys like that, they get caught up on the adventure factor, the wow factor, because fuckboys usually get doing those kinds of things. A lot of times, women go through, when you initially meet a guy, they go through the euphoric stage, whatever fantasy she has, whatever type of guy she's already projected it onto him a lot of times. Or she gets with him, she thinks, okay, I can change him, I can see him a better man. and, going, trying divine logic and conventional wisdom. And just define practical dating a lot of times. So they think, oh, these are the ones I can make them go out and be a productive man, and they can go get a job and do things I would want in a man. And 9 out of 10, it usually doesn't happen. I don't.
It's hard to understand that mentality, bro.
Turn somebody into a man, he would have to have some kind of male figure, or has to want to be, become a man either.
Yeah, I mean, because the reason that doesn't make sense is because the qualities and credentials that it takes to be a good husband and father do not come overnight. Those things are developed through starting as an adolescent, teenage years, learning the responsibility, being reliable, loyalty, commitment, sacrifice, having to persevere through situations that you don't want to deal with for the greater good or for the benefit of somebody else. Team sports, things like that. Those are lessons that boys learn and men grow into as they get older. You don't become 33 and then just all of a sudden get some responsibility and get the life skills that it takes to be a good husband or father. You know what I mean? And so it's hard to understand how women can spend countless hours with a man. Go on trips with him, go out of town with him, talk to him every day, hear about his routine, see what he, you know what I'm saying? Like all these aspects of his life. You fucking him, you spending time with him, you going on dates, you're observing him.
The problem that happens a lot of times is women don't realize it until after the fact, after they've done all this, after they had a kid or two with them.
That's a failure. That's a failure because it takes nine months to have a child. Most women don't meet a man and instantly get pregnant and have a child 9 months later. You were interacting with this man for months and possibly years before you got pregnant by him. So that's not an excuse. That means that they failed the dating phase. They were not paying attention to what actually matters. You know what I mean? And a lot of guys do it too. A lot of people fail the dating phase and get with people or get caught up in situations with people that they are not compatible with. And that happens. It's an epidemic of people that get into these type of predicaments. You know what I mean? And they typically end up on divorce court or have some outrageous story where the average person is looking at it like, well, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you get with this type of person, or why would you do that? Why would you even get married to begin with? But like I said,
a lot
love
of
is blind.
They're with this person, things may or may not be going well. And then they start, okay, well, if I get married, maybe it'll make it better. And it's not. It's just, it gets worse from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it, but like I said, I'm trying to curb the behavior and get women to do better in the future, so they don't find themselves in that same situation.
Hopefully, they're getting your dating guide, as you mentioned on previous shows here.
Right. I mean, for those of you that are not aware, I have created a dating guide. It's called the Terry Duran Dating and Compatibility Guide. It's available on my website, terryduranbooks.com, and it only costs $1.50. You can download it directly to your phone or your tablet, and it walks you through the dating phase. What type of conversations you should be having, what type of behaviors you should be looking for, how a dating phase is supposed to happen, right? So it breaks all that down. And then I've also included some evaluation worksheets, which are a couple of worksheets where you can evaluate the person you're dating. You know, a lot of women get the emotional part of their relationship. It overwhelms and overrules a lot of their logic. So
exactly, and what happens a lot of times, like a lot of women, they're evaluating the men from the neck down as opposed to above shoulders.
True, very true. You know what I mean? But what I try to do with the dating guide is I want them to be able to take their dating experiences and chart them on paper. That way their feelings and their experiences can be turned into information and data. You know what I mean? Like they can observe. It has it to where you can rate their character, their responsibility, their caring. You know, like the things that really matter. And so if you looking at you filled out the chart on your man and you saw that you had to rate him 2 or 3 in some very important categories, that's a really big sign that you may not be compatible with him long term. because I couldn't be
Right.
with a woman that I'd have to rate 3 in reliability or responsibility or communication or something that's really critical to a relationship. You can't be getting an F in that. It's in date me anyway. You know what I mean? Like, so hopefully if women can start to make better evaluations of the people they commit to, they'll have better quality relationships. All right, now this is a post. The next post that we're going to be talking about is something that went viral, and it was a comment by Amber Rose where she said that women fuck who they want, men fuck who they can. Remember that. And it went totally viral. You know what I mean? I'm getting sent it by all type of people. I'm seeing it. I'm getting tagged in all type of posts about it or whatnot. And I'm laughing at it because this is something that we all know. That's not earth-shattering information. Women can easily go get dick on demand whenever they want it. That's not new information. You know what I mean? Like, so
Right.
why now that brings up the question, why did it go viral? Why did it get this type of reaction? Right? The only reason it went viral is because Amber used the phrase in like a clapback type of context. You know what I mean? Like women can fuck who we want, men fuck who they can. Like you know, women support anything that they feel gives them an advantage or a benefit over a man.
Right.
And this is a prime example of it. There's nothing new about that. There's no woman with a pussy that did not know she could go get some dick from a stranger if she wanted to. They all know this, right? But to have somebody like Amber Rose say it, and now all of a sudden it's viral and it's getting reposted. Like it's also points to something that women try to ignore when we talk about cheating or other scenarios, right? So when we talk about like promiscuous behavior, when we talk about why a man that's promiscuous or a hoe is often treated with respect or respected by other people, and you have people like me explain because it's a skill. It's not luck. He can't just go around getting pussy everywhere he goes. No matter how cute he is, no matter how good his dick game is, men have to put in work to be able to consistently fuck attractive women.
Women have to choose you.
Well, not really. They choose among the men that pursue them. Most women are not about to initiate nothing. So they put themselves in a position.
The man initiating the conversation,
yeah,
and initiating everything else that comes after for the most part.
Right, and men that are good at it and have the resources to pull it off in a smooth, player, attractive way are usually successful with women. You know what I mean? And so, but it's a skill to it. It's not just luck. It's learning something that you perfect over time. That's considered a skill. Whether it's dribbling a basketball, shooting a 3-pointer, throwing a football, hitting a baseball, those are skills that you're developing.
A lot of men see it, do it. No different from dribbling the basketball, working on your jump shot.
Yeah, I mean it's a skill. But when it comes to women, they don't have to have skill to get dick. Women don't have to put in any work to be able to get consistent time, attention, and dick from men. That's the difference.
When we look at it, any woman can get banged, but that's not necessarily saying much.
Exactly.
It makes no difference how Randy, Justin, bang, whatever. Doesn't matter. There's going to be a dude that will still bang you.
Yeah, that's why.
You got a whole bunch of thirsty dudes out there, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Right, and that explains why
we get it whatever we want isn't saying very much there.
Right, and that's why women that are promiscuous, they're looked at as having poor judgment in men, bad decision making, because she doesn't have to put in any work to get the dick. But the fact that you just letting every dude fuck and bust in your face tells us something about your decision making, right? And for a man to be in that type of position, for him to get every chick that he meets or every chick that he likes to want to fucking suck him, that says something about his interactions with those women and how he presents himself to them. And other men want to sign up for it. They want to learn what you're doing. What are you saying? How'd you get her to do that? How'd you get her to be down for that? Like other men want to learn that because it is a skill. And so I just thought the reaction to the comment was so overwhelmingly like Captain Obvious. Like she didn't say anything that we didn't already know.
Right,
but women treated it like
it.
Right, they treated it like it was the quote of the year or something. So I like when those type of situations come up because it creates moments where we can actually discuss it and dive into why they're responding that way. All right, let's move on. The last post that I want to talk about was a post that I put up about daddy issues, where it said how daddy issues impact women and their dating experiences. And so it starts off with how having a good loving dad can for some women be problematic. For one, it can create unrealistic expectations based on her perfect perception of daddy. And what I mean by that is most parents don't involve their kids in their adult business. So most girls or women grow up with this perfect vision of their dad, where dad loved mom and he never cheated on mom and he never thought about fucking any other women and that's not reality for most men. You know what I mean? Like he may not have done those things, but the perfect perception that a lot of women create for their father in relation to their mother and their family dynamic is often inaccurate because it's only based off what your parents present to you. You know what I mean? Like, and so it can be problematic. It can cause some women to create a false perception of reality because they're basing it off their assumptions about their dad. They're basing it off their perception of their dad and their mom's relationship. Like their parents could have been almost divorced multiple times. You know what I mean? Like, like, and so a lot of women create this false fairy tale narrative of how their dad was that they project on in their date.
It creates a false pretense of what kind of man she was. Because I should think, oh, well, my daddy spoiled me, my dad did X, Y, Z. My dad never told me that. She's probably going to think, oh, no God should ever tell me, no, you should just do whatever I want and spoil me.
True. So it said number 2, that she wants a man just like her daddy. So they'll create expectations for a man based off something that her dad did for her mom. Well, my dad, every Sunday he put gas in her car, and like if your man wants to do that for you and chooses to do that for you, that's great. That's a plus. That's a bonus. But that's not the determining factor on whether or not he's a quality man or not. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have a man that is a fucked up person that's romantic or does nice gestures like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just because you like certain aspects about your father, you cannot hold another man to that, just like he can't hold you to the standards of somebody else just off his perception of what a woman should be. He has to accept you for who you are and decide whether he can deal with it or not. Same way you have to do for him. You know what I mean? And so having this picture perfect, my dad, I want a man just like my dad kind of attitude can be problematic for some women that can't determine what's fair or realistic or a reasonable expectation to have of the men they're dating. And so let's see. The third thing is, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, they expect the men that they date to treat them like their daddy's little princess, which is not how most men that are in romantic relationships are going to treat women. Yes, he should treat you with respect. Yes, you should be safe around him. Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like those are common sense things. But that does not mean he should treat you like a princess. You're not a princess. You know what I'm saying? Like you're an adult. You're his girlfriend. You're not a princess. So to have princess expectations is a problem.
Right, and for what it's worth, the quality of the men that are successful are just gonna keep it moving and say, well, good luck, hope you find that guy, but I'm gonna go deal with that woman over there where I'm not dealing with all this.
Yeah, man. I mean, it can, like I said, it can create a lot of problems for a lot of different women. Now, I also it talked about some things that bad ways not having a father. Like, so it said having no dad or having a deadbeat dad. Number 1, it can cause a woman to be very needy and clingy towards the men that they date. And that's one of the fastest ways to push a quality man away. Being needy, being somebody that requires all kind of extra attention and extra love, and like, yeah, there are some men that will deal with it and do their best to fulfill it, but most men will get overwhelmed and turned off by it, and will shut that off pretty relatively quickly. You know what I mean? Like, being clingy is one of the biggest pet peeves for quality men. Number two, it creates insecurity due to the fear of abandonment. You know, a woman whose dad left and she feels like you gonna do the same thing. So she's making assumptions about your behavior, and unfortunately,
and she's projecting those things on him.
And like, she's making them come to fruition.
You look like you have cheating eyes or cheating face or something stupid like that.
Yeah, you do hear.
And that's another, for the quality man that's gonna push the quality away. I have to say quality because we're not talking about fuck boys or dusty foods out there.
Right. And that just ties into the third thing. Can make negative assumptions about men that remind her of her dad in any way. So anything my dad, so you smoke and drink like my dad, and automatically connect you to the negative traits that she attributes to her father.
Or you still like my daddy.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things. A lot of these are rooted in assumptions and things that they make.
Another thing too, I'll make a reference from the Derek Jackson video he posted a few weeks ago, where he was saying, a lot of women saying, "Hey, I like to do with put me in jail, my ass and put me in check." He's basically alluding to it, and that was a negative aspect of not having a daddy in her life.
True. All right, we're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our guest, Mr. Freeport, on the line, and we'll have a real candid conversation about MGTOW. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in. All right, everybody, welcome back. You're listening to the More Than Love podcast. We got our guest for the night on. We're speaking on the line with Mr. Freeman. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, bro? How you brothers doing tonight?
We're doing all right, man. I appreciate you taking the time out your schedule to chop it up with us, man. A couple of my followers had put me on your page, and I wanted to reach out to you so I could talk to you, verbally, and share my thoughts on some of the stuff that I see on your page or whatnot. Can you give the audience a little bit of information about yourself and what you represent?
Certainly, man. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. My name is Mr. Freeport. My Instagram page is Professor MGTOW. And I represent a large community of the MGTOW fellas. And, to us, MGTOW is a philosophy. It's not a movement. It encourages men to live the best life they can live for themselves. We recognize that society is completely biased towards gynocentrism. And it's evident in data, it's evident in movies, television, commercials, culture. We see that it leans towards women. So It's pretty simple. We reject feminism. We reject feminism ideals. We reject the traditional roles that society places, which expects a man to be a utility at the disposal of women. And it comes down to no marriage, no commitment, cohabitation, procreation, avoiding unnecessary risks and interaction, becoming self-actualized, becoming self-sustaining, finding meaning and finding your purpose. Because a lot of times we got a lot of brothers that are spending so much of their life, chasing sex. As a comedian once said, everything that a man does for sex, whether it's the career he does, whether it's the house he buys, the car, the clothes, a lot of it is around women. And we're just trying to elevate our men to a better state, so it benefits everyone, the men and the women in our community. The better men we have, men that are thinking with their minds and not with their penises, the better we can be.
Okay, what you said, I agree with a lot of the things that you said. Society is definitely unfair towards men in a lot of ways. On my page, I point out a lot of the hypocritical thinking or behaviors that women exhibit. Just kind of from an enlightening standpoint, to be able to show them what men deal with, to show them what type of attitudes and how hard it can be to have a logical conversation with somebody that's playing both sides of the fence. You know, on one side, you want everything to be equal, we fair, we the same, but then when it benefits you, you want to hold on to the old traditions, or you want to hold on to anything that you feel gives you an advantage. And so I definitely get it, but okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So the men in the MGTOW philosophy, they don't have any aspirations of dating or being with women, period?
What about sexually?
Well, it's different for every man. You know, a lot of people may think that the MGTOW guy that never had sex and this and that. You know, a lot of my mindset comes from having a lot of experience. You know, I've been that guy that a lot of women complain about. Cheating, lying, being a player, you know, sleeping with wives, all types of stuff. And this sort of red-pilled me to the reality of what relationships are. So we have, you know, at the bottom, at the base, it's just don't get married because it's so much risk and not enough benefit. But you have guys that forego sex. You have guys that have sex with five women a week. You know, they just go out and party and do whatever, just like the average guy. But it's just not about avoiding women, but sort of mastering women and also being able to save yourself from the divorce court. So that's what it comes down to.
Okay. A quick question about the MGTOW. Now, is it solely to counteract the feminist movement? Is it solely for that purpose?
I wouldn't say it's to counteract feminism, but it's just, you know, I always call MGTOW evolution. When your environment changes in a way that it's so destructive for men, we sort of have to evolve or get smarter. I mean, when you look at some of the data, you know, over 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And within the Black community, if a woman if one of the partners have a degree, the chance of the minimum divorce rate is over 85%. And we have a lot of women with degrees, so just think about that. When in the Black community, a woman has a degree, 85% divorce rate, and how many women have degrees? You know, and it's not just on them, but, you know, it's a whole lot of stuff going on. So we look at the data. It's not really emotional. It's more logical.
So you would say it's analytical.
It's analytical. It just makes sense.
A lot of stuff you're looking at the analytics of everything.
Right. You're right. And that's what a man needs to do, to be able to spot dry land.
You would say it'd be comparable, kind of like how I don't know if you follow basketball, the NBA kind of went to the analytics movement. So, you know, a lot of shit's been making is more geared towards analytics.
Right, and it's not emotional, and you know, not guys that can't get sex and guys.
Yeah, so there's this perception. There's this perception that y'all hate women. Like that's kind of the general consensus on what it is, at least from the female perspective. Oh, those are just the men that hate women, or oh, those are just the lame, etc. Now, I know a lot of that is deflecting because they don't want to talk about the things women do. They would much rather vent and bash men. And so I get some of those same comments when I clearly meet the credentials that most women have for a man. So I understand that most women, that's their kind of go-to response. Accuse you of being bitter, accuse you of hating women, etc. How do you respond to women that say that MGTOW is just a philosophy of hating women?
Well, first, women have to understand. I was explaining this. If women were to enter contracts in which they got married, they got divorced, they lost their homes, they lost their kids over 80% of the time, and had to pay money, they wouldn't do it. See, women are very pragmatic with their decisions. They're more calculated. You know, women marry the realistic aspect of marriage, while men marry the idealistic aspect. So we're the ones who sold this whole love thing, and we just realized that, you know what I'm saying, as time goes on. So it's not about us hating women at all. At the end of the day, we're just stepping away from it. You know, before I even heard of MGTOW, when I was a little kid, I saw the movie Bad Boys. And I said, look at Marcus' life and look at Mike Larry's life. Tell me, which one you want?
That's a good comparison. I mean, well, you know, it's funny. With me per se, as far as you know, me giving relationship advice or whatnot, I think I have a unique perspective because I was a hoe for a long time. I'm a former teacher, and I've been married for a long time. So I can kind of see both perspectives of how men have to go about dating and making sure that they're good long term. And so it's ironic to hear you saying some of these things because I've echoed kind of the similar sentiments because one of the reasons that I was comfortable getting married is because it was at square zero. She wanted to marry me when I didn't have a damn thing. And so I felt she met all my criteria for being a wife. And so in my mind, I was like, well, I ain't gonna ever feel comfortable marrying when I'm successful already. You know what I mean? Like, so if I can marry somebody that wants me right now and is willing to build with me from square one, then if we did get divorced and have to sell the house and all that, I'm cool with it because you was shooting with me in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, you was with me from square zero. And so the things that you're saying weighed heavily on my decision to get married kind of in an ironic way. I was like, I'm going to give it my 100%, but if it fail, I'm not going to be pissed off because she was with me when I didn't have shit. You know what I mean? Like, because if I got, and I said that to say, if I got divorced, I would not remarry. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just be Marcus Graham from Boomerang. You know, single bachelor, living. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so.
But it's funny. It's good. So you said that, and going back to what Freeport said about how women go about marriage. You know, the irony here is when most men go into the initial dating, and I'm talking for father men, they kind of have the more pragmatic approach, and women tend to have a more emotional approach. And the irony there, it seems like there's a role reversal when it comes to marriage here. It's kind of opposite. Women are taking a more pragmatic approach, while men are taking an emotional approach. It seems like what you was alluding to earlier there.
Right. Like there's this common phrase. It was two things I was talking about. If I got time to share. Today I made a post. I said AT&T, Comcast, and T-Mobile are all providers, but a husband is the only provider that has to pay the customer for them to use the service. So when you think about it, we provide a lot of stuff. You know, at the base level, men are a protector, a bodyguard. We're a chauffeur because we do most of the driving. We pay all the bills. You got to go through more things that women have to do, but yet society says that they are the prize. And we just try to reject that and also get men to get confidence and value themselves. Because if you're going to be real, a lot of brothers don't value themselves, whether it be based on the society or being raised in a sink by single mothers. We got some esteem issues and valuing issues.
That's a great point, especially.
I never thought about it like that.
Well, a lot of men tend not to value themselves, and you see a lot of, especially this day and age, we see a lot of role reversals here.
Yeah. Okay. So Mr. Freeport, I wanted to ask you this. So, from a dating standpoint or from a male standpoint, do you think that? I mean, because there are some women that are not out to just get over on a man or not just trying to come up off a man, etc. Women that bring their own to the table, have their own careers, make their own money, are fine with contributing to the household, paying bills, etc. Do you think that it would be better to just teach men how to evaluate the women that they date better, to find a woman that is more suitable to a fair, conducive lifestyle?
Well, yeah, that's a two-part answer. Yes, we try to see a lot of guys say, okay, they have a checklist of 3 or 4 good things they're looking for. And what I like to do is give a checklist of 1,000 things you should be looking for that are bad red flags. So if you're looking for the 1,000 red flags, you're going to eliminate more women than if you're just looking for a woman who can cook, clean, and give you some good sex. And this is what a lot of guys are doing. When you look at these, people, they don't really know how to choose mates because they don't have their partners around to show you how to choose a mate. Women the same thing.
So okay, can you elaborate on that? Okay, I know that there are some men that just make dumb decisions and choose a chick because she got a big booty or some good pussy or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's just. Do you think that you really have to have a movement for a man to realize that's a dumb way to choose a woman? Like, that seems like a no-brainer kind of thing, right?
Right.
Well, we got a lot of brothers that make bad decisions, man. And it's not really about the woman, it's about society and the law. Because we deal with the numbers. I can run off all type of stats that I studied over the years because we're about the numbers. You know what I'm saying? It's just risky you lose so much in divorce. And it's like, let's think about this. What do we get in marriage today that we cannot get in marriage? You know what I'm saying? Everything in marriage I can get from married women. And you know what I'm saying? And be the side dude and get all those benefits with none of the stress. Because we are in a divorce culture, we are in a hookup culture, and we are in a side dude culture. So it's more about the society and the law. You know, at the end of the day, yeah, there's good women out there, but I don't want to lose my pitch and lose my home and end up homeless as a result of her if she changes her mind.
True. Very true. Okay, so to be devil's advocate, couldn't just advocating for men to use prenuptial agreements, wouldn't that help?
That does. In some cases, you know, a lot of times, over 70% of them get thrown out.
Really?
There's even a case I was reading today where a man, he had his home given to him from his family. You know, he had things already given in the trust. And he got divorced, and his woman were able to take the home that was originally his great-grandparents, his grandparents, and his parents. And she took it from him. And that's not had a treatment.
I think prenuptial agreements, I think it goes by whatever state law. I think it matters.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know that.
How it is.
I thought it was a binding agreement. I didn't know that a prenup could be thrown out. Unless there was a cheating clause, or unless there was some deception in the forming of the prenuptial agreement. I thought those were the only things that kind of invalidated.
For example, if you get a prenuptial, say in New York, and you move to California, they're probably not, they're going to recognize your prenuptial agreement from New York.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right, exactly. And you got to understand, remember, these family courts, the judges, the lawyers, they get paid off of this stuff. It's a fraternity. It's not like the other courts where, they have a salary. They get a nice percentage based off how much money they get from that specific case. So when you look at a Blake Griffin having to pay $258,000 a month, yeah, the judge knows it's bullshit, but at the same time, he has a family to feed, and he gets a percentage of all his cases. So when we look at it as a business standpoint, I'm not trying to have some judge making money off of my life. I'm sorry. That's the way we look at it. So it's just, and it's not, they get thrown out, not all of them, but the risk is still there. Marriage is a business. And I ask you guys, if I were to go into business with you guys, would you evaluate the same way you evaluate a marriage? If I say this business has a 50% chance of failing, would you invest your all into it?
Nah. Good question.
It's interesting when you put it like that. It's very interesting because a lot of these same things that you're talking about, men are avoiding, are the exact same things that cause a man to cheat instead of just leaving. That cause a man to make decisions that women swear they hate and ruin their life, but having to deal with the woman who's the gatekeeper for your kids, who you have to pay $1,800 a month, who you have to deal with. Like, all those type of things are reasons why a lot of men say, man, I'm just going to get some pussy on the side, keep it a secret, and not have to deal with all that those other ramifications that come with just leaving. Or in worst case scenario, he at least delayed or postponed those things if she was going to leave and get those things anyway. So a lot of the things that you're articulating and having analytics and statistics behind are the driving forces behind the behaviors that women hate the most. So I think that's really, really interesting, because they suggest every single time we talk about cheating on my page, it's instantly, you should just leave. A man should just leave. And it's like, hold on.
The way you say it's almost seen to these women, it's almost seen as taboo.
Oh yeah, and there was, if I can interject, there was a moment in history. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can
hear you.
There was a moment in history. If let's say a man cheated, it would be a shame for his wife to divorce him. Now it's a shame for the wife to stay, because that's the way culture is. When you look on television, and there's a stat that says for every woman that's in your white circle that has divorced, it's a 10% chance of of her divorcing. So if she has 10 friends and 8 of them divorced, that's 80%. And that can be family or friends, because they're beehive thinkers. And a lot of times the things they say they want initially is not what they truly want. Because I asked this question today. Women say they want a guy that's honest, that's loyal, that'll treat them right, do this and this and that. I asked you guys today, if Jesus was alive, do you know a woman that would marry him? A 33-year-old homeless guy? I don't think so. No matter how good he is. They're about the money, man. Now, Jesus would be alone today. No woman would deal with him, no matter how good he was. And that's what it comes down to, man. It's a business, and we realize that.
Well, man, it was very interesting to get your side of it. I would definitely be interested in having you on as a guest again, man. I like people that know what they're talking about and can provide some actual insight and knowledge. So, man, like I said, again, I appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully this will shed some light to your cause and the people that are going to be tuning in. So, thanks again, man. I found this to be very interesting. You hit me with some. It's rare that I'm kind of like shocked by the conversation I had with somebody, but it was pretty interesting, bro.
It was great perspective.
I appreciate the compliment, man. Thank you for having me on, man. You brothers be blessed. You guys have a safe night tonight, too.
All right, man. Thanks again. All right, everybody. That was Mr. Freeport. You can follow him on Instagram at Mr. Freeport. His page is shown above. Man, that was pretty interesting, Jay. It takes me away from my initial perception of the MGTOW thing. Like I thought, it does. Yeah, and like at first I thought it was
really too familiar with it, but now that I looked at it in Google. But he really shed some light and some perspective on it. And from my take from it, it's really more so towards practical dating and using analytics
to protect yourself.
What's best for you?
Yeah, I mean to protect yourself against the system and the things that are against men per se, the behaviors, the attitudes, the expectations, etc. That we constantly talk about on my page, the entitlement.
Right.
The I'm the princess, I'm the prize type of attitudes. So I get it. I mean, I can totally understand. Like, I'd be a hypocrite if I sat here and said, I can't understand why these men won't get married when I know damn well I wouldn't get remarried if I was single. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, like, I guess that's a sign, ladies. If you can meet a dude, a quality man, when he's fresh out of college, only making 20-something grand, that's a situation you may want to try to hit your wagon to, because you meeting a dude when he's making $96K and he's single, pushing the luxury whip and living player, taking trips, he's less likely to give you the relationship you want. I thought, like I said, I knew it was going to be an interesting conversation, but I didn't expect it to be analytic driven. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I didn't expect that either. That really took me for a spin.
Yeah,
even through relationships, I never actually looked at, going into dating situations, I never actually looked at the analytical data or go into it like that. I was just know basics,
Yeah. I was just about to say, like, man, my stats on dating are very basic. But they worked, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess it's like the old school coaching compared to Golden State in the 3-point era, et cetera, with the NBA.
Right, that's what just came to mind as soon when he said that. Wow, NBA, the NBA, and even the NFL, something is going towards analytics.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, wow, you can even apply analytics towards dating.
Yeah, and see, well, you know what? The difference is I applied all my stats and my analytics to getting pussy. That's what it was. Like my insight when I was single was about putting me in a position to fuck more of the women I wanted to fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was never I'm searching for a love and relationship. Like, no, I'm trying to put myself in a position to win more often. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so, and I think that's the attitude that a lot of guys have. So that's, I ain't gonna say that that's the same thing that they're doing with their stats, but if you never get married and you not really trying to get no relationship, then really you are just having a bunch of fuck buddies and friends with benefit situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if there's no chance that I'm gonna ever marry you, then yeah, I really do just want to hang out occasionally. We can communicate regularly, but we gonna fuck, or I'm not gonna keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I guess it just depends on how you look at it. But look like we are up against the clock, man. It was a real interesting episode. Those of y'all, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you share the podcast with your friends. Shout out to
before we get to here, I just want to mention people, we have the More Than Love podcast Instagram page. So for those of you listening, follow the page. You know,
That's what's up.
we'll put up all the new episodes. You'll see all there. The links in that bio as well.
All right, that's what's up, man. We Jay, another good quality episode. This has been another episode of the More Than Love podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Like a drink, like a buck, like a gun, like a smoke, like a drink, like a buck, come on, like everybody do it. Come on and do it.